Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Animation Revaluation Podcast. I'm your host, Lizer, and with me today is Jay. What's up, Jay?
Heyo, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. So before I get into anything, I'm going to explain exactly why Jay is here. So, it's been a little while since the last podcast. Uh, just to clear the air so that everyone's like, what happened to Celeste? Celeste is still around. She's having some stuff happen in IRL. She's going to take a little break. I have Jay here. He's a good friend of mine. And he's actually really knowledgeable about that stuff. He's going to be my new co-host. And then when Celeste comes back, you'll have 3 instead of 2. So, sounds good? Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. So, Jay, what are we doing today? What did we watch? Because obviously, last time Celeste was like, we're going to watch Bungo Stray Dogs, but she's not here today. So, what are we doing?
So what we did this week was we watched the Quintessential Quintuplets, season 1.
The whole season?
Whole season.
Damn. That's like a lot of episodes, man.
Yeah, you can knock it out in like 4 days.
Yeah.
My case 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes 1, depending on what it is.
Yeah, it depends how busy you are, you know?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, the Quintessential Quintuplets is a manga and anime series written and illustrated by Neki Haruba. Don't know if I said that right. But it aired here in America under Crunchyroll and Funimation, so you can watch it there. Both seasons are already available on Crunchyroll, and I believe they're working on season 3. I think that was announced recently.
Season 3 was announced, yes.
Yeah. And Funimation is currently dubbing season 2. It's not out yet. I think there's like 2-3 episodes out for season 2. But basically, it stars this dude Futaro Usugi, who's a broke high school boy, and he does nothing but study because he wants to, secure a financially stable future for himself and his little sister Raiha. And alongside him are the quintuplet Nakano sisters. They're all really dumb, and he's been chosen to tutor them. But oh no, they all hate him for various reasons. What will our protagonist do?
We buckle down and we get what we have to do done.
So here's our protag. That's Futaro.
Yes.
That's like the decentest picture I could find that would like be a decent size.
Oh, without one being like too big.
Yeah, or too small.
Right.
I even tried to find some and like upscale them, but they just came out like pixels. I was like, this ain't good. this paints him in like a really cool atmosphere though. Like, he's not like this.
Pretty good shot of him.
Yeah, it's a very flattering shot. And we have his little sister Raiha, who's like his life basically. Like, pretty much everything he does is for her. He wants to make sure she's good.
Yep.
She's the light of everyone's life.
At this point, you just have those things you need to hold on to. She was definitely one of those things.
Yeah. I don't think they ever showed the mom in the manga, but in the anime it showed like a picture of her in the background, and Raiha looks a lot like her.
Mm-hmm.
And here's their father, Isanari. Ta-da! I think he's like a construction worker or something.
Yeah. At least I think he was doing construction.
He does some kind of manual labor type job.
Definitely built for it too.
Yeah. And I guess we can go into the girls. So
who's from the lineup?
We have the quintuplets. For anyone who doesn't know, five sisters. We got Ichika. You got anything to say about Ichika?
That is one dangerous female.
What does that mean, Jay?
Go watch the anime.
Go watch the anime. Perfect. Ichika is probably maybe not the most outspoken, but the most outspoken in her way. She's very like flirtatious, but like in a friendly way. She wants to be an actress, so she like really puts herself out there a lot. I think that's a good way to, explain her.
I believe she also sees herself as I believe the oldest. But she wanted to set herself apart from the others as the oldest.
Yeah, like she's technically the oldest because she popped out the coochie first.
I guess that's right.
And
I mean,
then
when there's like a difference between like a couple minutes, I guess it really doesn't matter.
we have Itsuki. She's actually the first one we meet in the show and in the manga. Because Futaro's in the lunchroom and he's getting like the cheapest meal he can possibly get, which is he orders I think like a beef bowl without the beef.
With no beef. Yeah.
So it's just the rice bowl, but at like half the price, and he gets a free water.
Unlimited water and refill, by the way.
And she like sits at the table with him, and I think he just like sees her test score. He's like, oh, she's fucking stupid, whatever. Like he's just rude to her off the bat, not knowing who she is. As far as her personality, in like season 1, we don't really get to see too much of her personality because she's ignoring him for most of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really like. Should we even get into what she's like later on, or should we just leave that?
I think we leave that for a separate.
Yeah.
First.
She's a good character. Don't get me wrong, but they just don't explore her too much in this season. Little hints here and there as to what she's like, but for the most part, she ignores him. She's fucking dumb. I can tell you that much.
She also has an appetite.
Yeah. Which is why the first time he meets her, she's getting lunch.
Bro, she had like $10 worth of food.
He calculated all her food.
She's like $11 of like food for like one meal, and he was sitting over there with like what, not even half that. Yeah, and I was like, okay.
His food came out to $2, I believe it was. And
I think so.
Hers was like 20.
It's like, wow.
Meanwhile, I'm here with my fucking Uber Eats, like, oh, maybe I should cut back a little. Next up we have Miku. And Miku, I would say, is the most laid back, like quiet, shy one out of the 5. She very much keeps to herself. She doesn't talk much. She's real quiet. She has her headphones on most of the time. What else? She's the first one canonically to fall for him. We can say that much. Yeah. She's also the first one that he's able to convince to study because none of them want to study. And he's literally hired to teach all of them.
Oh man.
And there's a couple of times, like throughout the series, not even in just this one season, where it's like, hey, if they don't get this like GPA specifically, you're fired. And she's usually the first one to be like, come on guys, we gotta get this.
I do think it's between at least the 3 that we just like mentioned. It's a nice like mesh of personality. And it's just the individuality between them makes up for them as a whole.
Yes.
And it's like it's really nice. It's a really nice touch to say.
I like you and I, we both read the manga, right?
Yes.
So the manga ended, I think, like almost 2 years ago at this point.
Yep.
I was real big into the manga, and it was always a thing that they pointed out where it's like, we're 5 parts of a whole, like we're all exactly the same, blah blah blah. And then later on, they all start to realize their own individual traits. And I don't know if this is just because I'm going through it again and I'm noticing, or it's just more pronounced in the anime, but they really do show how they're all different, like very early on. Like Miku, for example, she can't fucking cook. I think you have something for that, right?
I gotta find it. I lost it. But it's in a file. It's in a folder somewhere. I'll find it.
Meanwhile, we have Nino, who can cook. She's a fantastic cook. She's also a bitch. She's the bitchiest bitch of all the bitches.
That is best girl right there. Nobody. I will be knocking on some people's doors. I see otherwise.
Listen, I'm not going to agree with you. I'm also not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to say who I think best girl is. I am going to say that the person I thought was best girl did not win in the end. Best girl lost. I'll say that much. But she becomes, well, she starts off as huge bitch, like where everyone else was kind of like, you know, iffy about Futaro. They're like, we might give him a chance, you know, I won't study, but maybe I'll sit in. She was just like, no, we gotta get him out of the house. She goes as far as drugging him. And he wakes up in a cab.
I was like, oh, it's that bad. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Like, I might need an adult.
She's also like fucking blind. Itsuki too. Itsuki's blind. Itsuki needs glasses.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Nino wears contacts, and there's actually an episode where Futaro, he forgot like his notepad thing that he keeps in his pocket, like pocket notes.
Yeah.
And he goes back into the Quintuplets house, and she's on the sofa, like wrapped in a towel. She just took a shower, and she can't tell that it's him, and she's just talking as if it's her sister. She can't see him. She literally gets like right in his face, like so close that they could have like kissed, and she can't tell it's him. So that's fucking blind.
Yeah.
And finally we have Yotsuba, or as my phone likes to call her, Hot Sub.
Hot Subs.
And she is the most pronounced dumb one because she acts dumb.
Oh yeah.
Like she's the one that you could look at all 5 of them and you would say that she's the dumb one, but they're all equally dumb. She's sporty.
Super athletic, man.
Yeah, super athletic. Very friendly. She has an issue with telling people no. Anytime someone asks her for anything, she's just right on it. She doesn't like letting people down. To a fault, because she'll sacrifice like her own well-being and happiness to do things for other people. And yeah, that's the 5 girls. Anything you want to say about any of them aside from the fact that you love Nino?
I guess so. With all 5 of them together in the same exact room, and I've noticed this throughout the first season, not even to touch on the second, was how the different people in the school interacted with each one of the girls. However, it got to a point where I realized that the animators the writers made it so that some characters were blind to the quintuplets, like they couldn't tell them apart.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, it's obviously it's there for like a viewer kind of thing, but as someone in that specific world couldn't tell them apart. Like Futaro had a really hard time telling them apart, even though it was, as a viewer, blatantly obvious.
Right.
And I don't necessarily know where that came from, but I do like it.
What would get me with that though was like some people couldn't tell like Itsuki from God, what is her name now? How did I forget her name? Ichika. And I'm like, Ichika has like short hair. It goes to like her ears. And Itsuki's hair goes down her back. How can you not tell who is who? And like I think they're all supposed to have the same color hair, but it's just slightly different for us to tell who's who.
Right.
But then at the same time, they have wigs to give each other to be like, hey, can you act as me for a second? Like, why do you need wigs if you're the exact same hair?
It might have been. It might have not been like they all have the same hair color, but kind of like they definitely dyed their hair.
That's what I thought, but then there's an episode where they imply that they don't because they're like, oh, well, just let down your hair. You look exactly like me. I don't remember who says it to who, but she's just like, let down your hair. And that's it. I was like, no, the hair is clearly a different color. But apparently not. I think that's literally just so we can tell them apart.
I think. I do. I definitely would have liked playing the guessing game of who is who.
No, fuck that. Spoiler alert, they do that later on, at least in the manga. I don't know if the anime is gonna put, well, I guess so, it's pretty important. But they have this whole thing where it's like he has to guess who's who. And that was just a nightmare to read. Especially since in the manga, like, nothing's inked in. It's just black and white. I'm like, who the fuck are these people?
I hear Patrick. Who are you people?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who I thought of. There's also the stipulation that in Japan, isn't it like look down to dye your hair? Like you're a delinquent if you do that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't. Maybe they just ignore that, and the girls do dye their hair, or maybe like this version of Japan doesn't have that issue, or like I said, maybe it's just so we can tell.
I think I think it's just like something so we can actually tell.
Now, you know what was never explained in the manga? I think it was never explained. Futaro, what's his natural hair color?
The blonde.
Is his natural hair blonde, or did he dye it blonde as a kid?
I mean, but if you look at his dad.
Yeah, but does his dad dye his hair, or I don't know.
I think that's just natural. I don't know actually, because Raiha's is like just black.
Raiha's is like purple.
Is it? Oh, it is. Yeah. I don't know. I just see black, because the background to the picture is black. So yeah. Whatever this is, I just say black. But
well, as a kid, Futaro's hair was blonde, and he was a troublemaker. And apparently, he met one of the Quints as a child, and he has a picture of himself with whoever it is. It gets explored possibly in season 2. I know later on in the manga, well, it doesn't really get explored in this first season, but it is going to be a plot point for later. But we get to see the picture. He like unfolds it. He's with one of the girls when they were younger, and we don't know who it is, but Nino sees the picture, but just to side with him. And she's like, oh, this is like, she doesn't realize it's him. She's like, this is, my kind of guy. He looks like a bad boy. She can't fucking tell that it's him. So later on, he ends up wearing a blonde wig during a school trip as part of a costume. And she sees him, thinks that it's the kid grown up, which I guess technically it is because it's him. And she's like, I love this guy. And she's just like splooshing her panties. And can't tell that it's Futaro. So I have this here. Just give that a read. I'm literally the guy in the pic. If he would have said that, I feel like a good third of the story of the manga would have been solved.
It just goes out there. It just problem solved right then and there.
Because that becomes such a big deal later.
And it's crazy because it's like, and he even like thought about it. He was like, "Do I even tell her?
Yeah.
Or, should I And he decided to come up with a lie to say that it was a relative of his.
Yeah.
And towards the end of that said trip, there was a special dance around a fire. I think it was like a fireplace, but they also had like fireworks go off.
Yeah, the generic like high school dance around the fire. You'll end up together for life.
And so Nino was like, "Hey, come dance with me at the end of tomorrow." And he's like,
Celeste says, "Notice me, Senpapi." What's up, Celeste? So Nino wanted to invite him.
to the dance, but prior to that, there was another like quintuplet moment where Miku and Ichika, there was a guy that wanted to ask Ichika to the dance for that same trip.
Yeah.
And Miku filled in, and then Futaro, being the person that he is, knowing that he really shouldn't care, but at this point he's fully invested, goes and is like, yeah, we have to go. And like the guy is like, oh hey, yeah, are you two like together, like something? And it's like something half-assed. I was like, wow, this took a jump like from
Of course we're together.
I was like, oh man.
Why would you even ask that? And mind
So
you,
then-
that's Miku as Ichika saying this. It's not even Ichika.
And then we kind of like fast forward to the present situation between Futaro wearing a blonde wig and Nino. So now there's two people that want to dance with him. Come to find out that they just both really wanted to dance with him.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow. Way to go.
But then, like, Miku wants to dance with him because at this point Miku is already like head over heels. Ichika is kind of like, heading that way with him, but not quite. Like, she feels like she kind of likes him, but not as much. But enough to try to pursue something. And Nino just hates him. She likes his alter ego cousin. But a situation happens where Ichika and Futaro get stuck in like a shed together, and that kind of seals the deal for her. Like, whatever they go through there, they talk about things. She starts like crying because of something he says, like happy tears, I think, and everything's explained. And she's like, we couldn't make it to the dance, but I'll dance with you here. And he states about the rumor of if you dance together, you'll end up together forever. And she has this breakdown because she like remembers Miku loves him. And it's just like, like, I can't do this now. I ruined it for her. Oh my god. I think the next episode is when we have the first big like switch of the series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ichika winds up getting sick, and Itsuki is taking care of her, and we see like they're skiing, and Futaro sees Ichika, and they're talking and everything, and like they, a bunch of stuff happens in the episode that we're not gonna get super into, but in the end they have to find Itsuki. She's gone missing, but it turns out that Ichika was Itsuki the whole time, and nobody knew. Only Futaro was able to figure it out.
And it's just the little things that like you pick up on. It's not even like something huge. Like,
Yeah.
he was able to figure it out just because of like the difference between like what each of the five call him.
Yeah,
Whether
so
like Futaro-kun or
exactly, yeah. Uesugi-kun.
And it was just like, and he was able to figure it out, and I was like, it wouldn't be that hard if they all five of them didn't look exactly the same. But
if only they had some way to tell each other apart. Like hair color or something.
I don't know.
Oh, hey, actually, fun fact. Did you know that the girls were actually inspired by the Super Sentai series?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah, they're actually...
Oh.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Super Sentai is what Power Rangers was inspired from. It's the Japanese version of Power Rangers, the original. And the creator of this series, basically, he came out in interviews and said it, where he said, like, Ichika is yellow, Nino's purple, Miku's blue, Yotsuba's green, and Ichika's red. And they actually do wear those colors a lot, whether it's, like, accents or something. Like, you can always see those colors on them somewhere. and I'm just like waiting for them to to get together at the end of the season and form like the mega wife, and they all marry him. Because that's something we get. We get a flash forward, and we see that he does end up marrying someone, but we don't know who. And the season literally ends with like, hey, here it is, we're gonna show her face and everything, but they're all fucking quintuplets, so you can't tell who it is.
That's just a table flip moment at that point.
I have a question for you, actually. Do you think they'll change who it is from the manga? Because the manga gave us a definitive answer. Like, that's happened in series before, where it's like, hey, this girl won in the manga, but this one won in the anime.
They might. I would hope that they keep it. Like, I mean, it'd be nice for them to switch it out. Because I would really like to see, you know, a different outcome.
Listen, I want best girl to win. Celeste says, I think it's up for us to decide for the anime. What, like a choose your own adventure? Like, vote on this girl to win.
They post a straw poll after like the second to last episode.
Type in exclamation point Ichika for Ichika.
And it's like, alright, you guys decided.
Somebody hacks it, and like all the answers, no matter who you vote for, it still votes for whoever won in the manga.
That'd be nice though. That would be funny. But I think it would be like really interesting if they changed it up.
They should, like, I don't know, maybe like on the Blu-ray or something, give us like 5 different last episodes.
5 different endings.
Yeah. Cause let me tell you, man, like, my favorite didn't win, but I was happy with who did. Like, I get it, and like looking back in like at the show now, they give a lot of hints as to who it is that's going to win. That like that I just didn't see before because I wasn't rooting for that specific girl. But I don't know. Like I'd be fine either way. My heart was already broken. It can't be broken again. Did you know a game came out?
A game came out.
Yeah. There's a visual novel that came out for the PS4 and Switch. Actually, just a couple of days ago, March 25th.
Wow.
It's only available for Japanese though, so hopefully we'll get it over here.
Look at that.
I think it's a visual novel.
Yeah. So
you know, if your favorite girl doesn't win in the anime, wait a second. I think I might have to go down low. It's like I said, my favorite girl did not win. Matter of fact, neither one of my favorite girls won. I had 2 that I was rooting for. My heart, man. My heart. This was... like, having read it when it came out, I guess because I was reading it on a weekly basis, as it was coming out, everything felt much more spaced apart to me. So I'm watching the anime now, and I get to like episode 5, and I'm like, I swear this shit took like a month to happen. How is this happening so fast? In this show, I'm like, oh wait. This makes sense.
It always makes sense.
It always makes sense in the end. You know what didn't make sense though? When the best girl lost. That never makes sense.
You sound like you're gonna cry.
Shut up.
I might.
Shut up, you don't know me. It's like, but Lizer, that means she's available. Like, oh shit, alright. I wish I could find it, but I actually saw, like, on Facebook, maybe like a month ago, It said
Mhm.
it said like his son is going to be the happiest kid alive, and it was just like the adult versions of all of them, and he's there with his chosen wife and their son, and all the aunts are giving the son a hug, and his face is just buried in like 4 pairs of titties. I'm like, oh, that was another thing I wanted to touch on. Speaking of titties, um, speaking of titties, they're all quintessential. They're all
Oh,
quintuplets,
don't. I don't know
right?
where this is going.
They're all exactly the same in every way, shape, and form, right?
Yep.
So, how come sometimes they animate like Miku as being flat-chested because of like her sweater, but then she takes it off and she's like a double G cup? And I'm like, what? Huh? So, excuse me? It's a magic sweater? Like, excuse me?
I think there was an episode that I was streaming in a server, right? Because Funimation, you know, they're funny. They like to be funny with Discord sometimes.
Mm.
Not give me sound, but I can read, so it's
Oh, damn, you got
fine.
me beat on that one.
But there was a episode where Futaro was chasing around Miku, right, trying to get her to study,
Yeah, I know
but she
exactly what you're
kept
talking about.
dodging him, and they both were very, very winded because they were running for quite a while, and literally Miku goes to sit down to take off the stockings. My friend comes in at the exact moment, and she's like, "Bro, what are you watching?" It's like,
Why is that always the thing? Like, anime could be like Dragon Ball Z levels, like Kamehamehas and all that, and then someone walks in and it's fucking like High School DxD. Like, what? What is happening right now? How did this happen?
it's like, bro, all this time you decide to come in now. It's like best timing, I swear.
Which one is best girl? I don't want to
You
say
can't.
who I thought
You,
best girl was, Celeste, because I already said that like my favorite girl lost. So by saying who I thought was my favorite, that already eliminates a choice for people who don't know. So I don't want to give people spoilers of like, hey, I like this girl, but she didn't win.
mm, I've already made my case. And then
Yeah.
I will gladly die on this hill.
Best girl.
This is the-
Best girl's Raiha.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's best girl right here.
In Futaro's eyes, yeah, it's definitely Raiha.
But yeah, they keep stating like everything. They even talk about the boobs themselves. They're like, oh yeah, we're all the same cup. We're all the same blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, but all she's doing is wearing a thin sweater. She looks flat chested. Meanwhile, like Yotsuba can't even see her feet. Like, like what the fuck? Like if you told me point out like the flat chested ones, I'd be like, okay, Miku and Nino. And you'd be like, nope. What? Huh? Let's see, what else is there? I wouldn't call this like your normal slice of life because it avoids a lot of the like stupid dramatics that a lot of these kind of things do. Like they're still dramatics, but it's not like the normal general like overused ones that you get in every series like this. And apparently they always wanted it to be 5 girls. Like the writer always wanted it to be 5. And like people would come up to him, like editors and stuff, like, oh, why don't you do 6? Why don't you do 4? And he was always like, no! Like hard body, like, no, I absolutely will not. And people are like, why? It's like, because I want it to be 5. Okay, but why? Because I want it to be 5. Can you explain why? I want it to be 5. Like he doesn't have a real reason, he just wants it that way. And he apparently always knew who the girl was going to be, that one. But he wanted it to always be, a story of hate into love. He never wanted it
Yeah.
to be like, oh, they like him, right off the bat. He always wanted to show the building of the relationship, which I can appreciate, because a lot of times we get the girl that likes the main character out of nowhere and has no real reason for it and just is there. And it's like, okay, I don't have a reason to support her love for him because she just loves him without giving me a reason. Like, we get to see all of these girls grow as people, and we see the reasons as to why they fall for him.
And this, I can't wait to move on to season 2, because there's just so much more that's like being able to like explain. But as for a season 1, like overall, I think this is like one of the best things that I've read and probably watched in a very long time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will 100% agree with you on that one.
Because, oh man, did this have like, this was like tug, and I watched this like as it came out, like weekly. I'd rush home and like, yeah, I need to watch this. Like, it was like I was gonna die if like I didn't. And it's just good story writing. The animation is really good. Story writing was excellent. I got no words.
How about numbers? Out of 10, what would you rate this?
Out of 10, I'd give this a 10.
Give it a 10?
Absolutely. I think this is like one of the things that I can definitely rewatch. Like, this has the rewatchability.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd probably give it a 10 also. It's like, I was never bored. I enjoyed it a lot. I finished it in like a day and a half. I feel like I was more drawn to the manga, I think. Just because, like, how can I explain this? Like, when I started it, there was a lot more out at the time. So I was able to, like, just dive in and get a huge chunk of stuff. Here I only watched one season. So maybe if it was all out, I'd just, like, binge it all. Maybe I feel that way because of that. It's just not fully available yet. But I'd say for anyone watching, like, dive into this. This is a great series. Even though Best Girl lost. Now, since this was your first episode of the podcast that you're on instead of, watching, I gave you the opportunity to pick this. So Jay's the one who actually chose this for us to watch this week. Now I get the honor of having you watch something. So okay. I'm gonna ask you a question that I asked Celeste a couple episodes ago. Do you like idols?
I love idols.
These are a slightly different type of idol than we're used to.
Yes! Yes! Oh yeah. Rewatchability tenfold. Give me this.
Did you guys hear that? Just the pure energy in that yes. We will be watching Zombieland Saga.
Oh yeah. Ah yes, Truck-kun.
Yeah, Truck-kun that's not involved in an isekai. How rare is that?
Oh man.
Guys,
just looking at this picture, it just gives me memories of me watching this again. Oh man.
Guys, look it up. Zombieland Saga. This is what we're watching next time.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's gonna be a fun episode.
I'm excited. I gotta get the boys back together.
Gotta get the boys. Everybody hop in, we're going to go see idols. Get in the fucking truck.
Hop in, loser.
Hop in, loser. We're gonna see zombie idols. They can sing, they can dance, they can fucking rap. They can do it all. Alright, well that's it for this episode. Hopefully everyone enjoyed.
I can't wait.
The anticipation is already high. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.
Bye bye.